If an Easter egg is akin to finding that one last after eight in a box full of empty wrappers, then finding a whole game inside of a game is like finding there's another tray at the bottom of a presumed empty box. There's something so inherently cool about a developer including a hidden video game inside the one you're already playing. More often than not, it's usually in the form of an earlier game in a series, a sort of, hey, look how far we've come kind of acknowledgement. Or it's something the studio has worked on as a side project that occasionally goes on to be its own published game. Sometimes it's nice to take a break from saving the world from the legions of hell to play an old game. Maybe your knuckles hurt from taking on rival street gangs, so you put your skills to test in some arcade cabinets instead. Whatever the reason, coming across or unlocking one of these hidden gems is a great way to spruce up the fun in a game. If there's an inherent challenge or reward to doing so, it's a nice little caveat for those aiming to 100% their games too. So let's take a trip down memory lane with some games in games. I am Kirsten from WhatCulture, and these are 10 video game secrets that unlock full video games. Number 10, Ninja Gaiden 2004, Ninja Gaiden 1, 2 and 3. It wouldn't be too much to say that Ninja Gaiden really hit its stride with 2004's reboot. Forget your like Dark Souls tagline, this was the original control breaker. A strict and unforgiving action game like many hadn't seen before. Outside the likes of Devil May Cry and God of War, Ninja Gaiden had a point to prove. Get good. Paying homage to the unforgiving platformers that in turn gave life to this also unforgiving franchise, you can unlock the first 3 Ninja Gaiden games to get your nostalgia fix. And in keeping with Hard as Nails' theme, they aren't easy to unlock. To start with, you have to collect 50 of the hidden scarabs dotted about, which is no easy feat. That unlocks the first game. The other 2 require some fiddly platforming and precise aiming, which sounds pretty easy compared to the scavenger hunt. But by the time you unlock them all, it feels like self-flagellation. Do you want to continue the difficult main game or stir up some retroactive rage with the early games? Tough call. Number 9, Project Gotham Racing 2 and 4, Geometry Wars/Geometry Wars Waves. Granted, this one isn't a secret in the conventional sense, but it can completely fly by you if you're not prone to exploration. Should you decide to wander off the beaten racetrack in Bizarre Creations' first sequel, you can deliver a nifty looking arcade cabinet tucked away in your garage. A neat little twin-stick shooter based on, well, geometrical shapes and particle effects. It helped launch the series as a standalone series on the Xbox. But Bizarre didn't want to settle on a one and done, oh no. Project Gotham Racing 4 on the Xbox 360 saw the evolution of the racing series, as did its included title Geometry Wars Waves. Visually surpassing its original, what with the then new age of HD TVs, it was a blast to play in between races. It didn't have as much depth, but it was still just as mesmerising. Again, they're not challenging secrets to unlock per se, but if you focus solely on the racing and not getting to know your surroundings, you could be missing out on 2 absolute gems. Number 8, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, Mortal Kombat 2. It would be fair to say that any game in the Mortal Kombat universe that isn't a straightforward beat-em-up is generally a bit rubbish. Take a look at MK Mythologies, Sub-Zero or the Jax Special Forces games, if you don't believe me. Such as it is, Shaolin Monks isn't half bad considering. Taking on the roles of Liu Kang and Kung Lao in this 3D adventure, it's at least made a worthy attempt not to besmirch the franchise, at least not like the others did. What does soften the blow is the fact that you can unlock a fully playable version of Mortal Kombat 2 for your efforts though. Simply finish the game with unlockable character Smoke or shortcut that with an old-fashioned cheat code and MK2 will be available for you to play. A spruced up emulated version taken away from a Midway Treasures compilation, its inclusion is a welcoming distraction if you fancy some good old-fashioned Mortal Kombat violence. You know, instead of the current violence you've played through to unlock it. Number 7, The Warriors, Armies of the Night. The Warriors film wasn't exactly breaking records on release, but it has always garnered a cult following. That Rockstar paid tribute to it with their 2005 title, which follows both the events in the film and events prior that established the Coney Island Gang was only going to be a good thing. A well-padded out 3D brawler with loads of content, it would be fair to say it didn't smash records like, say, a Grand Theft Auto or a Red Dead would, but it was fun, with a massive wealth of missions and tasks to do. If you did persevere through the trials and tribulations the warriors faced and finished the game, you'd be treated to an arcade cabinet in your hideout. What was in the cabinet, you might wonder? Well, another warriors game! Armies of the Night, the unlockable game, takes us back a generation and offers a Double Dragon clone, right down to the intro. Completing this unlocks more characters for the main game's Rumble mode, so there's even incentive to play it. Also, if you haven't seen the film, go and do that. Number 6, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Prince of Persia 1989. Back before Ubisoft churned out open-world fetch quests ad nauseum, they had a strong focus on some decent action-adventure games in their heyday. The 2003 series reboot of Prince of Persia was one of those, breathing life back into the series after many had forgotten about it. It must have been a right huff and puff, as it propelled Sands of Time to the top of the charts and critical scores on its release. Fortunately, stardom didn't go to its head, as Sands of Time has a nice little Easter egg tucked away behind some hidden walls near the halfway mark of the Prince time-bending adventure. In keeping with the time theme, your reward is a time capsule of an experience, the very first Prince of Persia game. Far from being a 3D adventure, it harks back to George Mechner's first foray with the series. No time travel, but it does involve saving a princess from an evil vizier. Standard hero stuff. I mean time capsule nicely though, as it's always nice to see the roots of something so great to be respected. It's just really difficult to play. Number 5, Shenmue, Hang On, Space Harrier, and OUTRUN. In a similar vein to the Project Gotham entry earlier, this isn't necessarily a massive secret compared to the others. However, if you're steadfast in your quest to avenge Ryo's father, you could miss out on some absolute gems from Sega's back catalogue in various arcades around the city. Credit to Shenmue for going the extra mile and actually having the replicated arcade cabinets for them too. Seeing our spiky-haired hero sit into an OUTRUN unit or climb atop a replica hang-on bike is a testament on the level of detail that went into the original Shenmue titles. What also makes this nod great is that in the Shenmue universe, they're not old titles. Set in 1986, Hang On had only been out a year, whilst OUTRUN came out that year. So, for all intents and purposes, these are hot new titles the kids can get into. Whilst not so much a secret as hidden in plain sight, it's still a nice reward for those that go off the beaten track in this massive game. Just remember to bring some money with you. No free rides. Number 4, Sonic Generations, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Generations was Sega's repentance for putting out a slew of terrible 3D games over the years, with all bets being off as to whether it'd be good or not. Thankfully, it was, offering a blend of classic 2D Sonic gameplay alongside some okay-ish 3D gaming of more recent titles, seeing our eponymous hero team up with his past self to sort out some time-skewing shenanigans at the hands of the Time Eater. Which is why the inclusion of the very first Sonic the Hedgehog, at least the 1991 Mega Drive version, is quite touching, given the nature of the story in the main game. Unlocked by purchasing the classic Mega Drive controller in the store and taking it to the console nearby, you can relive all the glory of Sonic's first foray onto the classic console. This means essentially that you can play 3 different iterations of Sonic in one title. Classic 16-bit Sonic, modern-day retro-inspired Sonic, as well as the less popular 3D Sonic. Well, 2 out of 3 isn't bad, right? Number 3, Metroid Prime / Fusion, Metroid 1987. NES games are, and I mean this nicely, not the most advanced or data-intensive catalogue of games. By today's standards, you could fit the entire game catalogue on your phone, if you felt that way inclined. So kudos to both Metroid Prime and Fusion for going out of their way to make you own not 1 but 2 separate consoles to unlock the game that started it all, the 1987 version of Metroid. Not content with a simple finish one game to unlock it, they made things much more complex. You need to finish Fusion, then link your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube to unlock a playable version in Prime. The thing is, if you're that invested in the Metroid universe, chances are you already own the first game in some capacity anyway. Still, it was quite a novel reward for fans with multiple Nintendo consoles. That being said, I think even Nintendo realised it was a bit of a faff, which is why follow-up title Zero Mission on the GBA had a better solution to unlocking it. Just finish the game. much easier. Number 2, Splatterhouse 2010, Splatterhouse 1, 2 and 3. Splatterhouse is an odd franchise, putting it kindly. The first title had box art that looked like a Friday the 13th imitation, yet featured a more occult story about haunted masks, spooky houses and enemies covering all things demonic. It also invited a fairly deepish story for what was, by all accounts, a slasher platformer. That it got reborn in 2010 was surprising to some, but it was a welcome return. It didn't break records or anything, but was a fairly fun if mindless gore fest of a game to switch your brain off to. And like most other entries on this list, it paid its due to the series that got it where it is today. Well, 10 years ago. Again, with the switch off brain logic, there isn't anything vastly complicated to do to unlock the original trilogy games to play. Simply progress through the game and you'll unlock each title after specific chapters. And of course, like a lot of vintage games, they're quite unforgiving. Thankfully, in the spirit of old Mega Drive games, you can use cheat codes to make life a little bit easier for our hero. Number 1, Doom Eternal, Doom 1 and 2. Say what you will about their original IPs, at least Bethesda knows how to pay respect to franchises they've acquired over the years. They did it with the revamped Wolfenstein: The New Order by letting you play the first level of Wolfenstein 3D via a nightmare sequence, and they've done it again with this year's Doom Eternal. But far be it than just a level or two, you can unlock the full versions of the first 2 Dooms to play in the Fortress of Doom. That's right, you can take a break from saving Earth by playing through the Doom guys' original outings. I know, it sounds a bit meta, but don't overthink it. Much like Doom 2016, collectibles are rife throughout the stages, including figurines and cheat discs. Minifigures are cool and all, readily available for you to display in your weapon room, but what about that monitor? Well, find all the cheat discs lying around and you can play first Doom in all its 16-bit gory glory. The second game has a more conventional means of unlocking, via an old-fashioned cheat code. I'm not telling you what it is though. And that's our list. What did you think of these video game secrets? Leave us a comment below and let us know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. But for now, I've been Kirsten from WhatCulture, and I'll see you in the next one.